We are live. Good morning. Welcome to day 4. We are more than halfway. Like yesterday, after our broadcast in the afternoon, we hit the actual halfway part. So we are well into our journey of 7 days. Thank you so much for however you're tuning in, whether you're here with me live, catching the replay, just starting in, just coming into the group and checking it out. All is welcome. Today, I want to really dive into a conversation that's one, ever expansive. Second, if you're doing this work, this personal development work, good morning, Melinda. You're going to find yourself at these crossroads constantly, especially with a couple of the areas in our life that are the hottest commodities, right? Our health, our wealth, our relationships, possibly even career. But those main three is where we can really get the depth of what's going on, where we want to sometimes or in habit of looking outside of ourselves and then creating a judgment for why things aren't the way they are. Today's energy is all about receiving. Today we're focusing on creating more peace with receiving. And I know, good morning, everybody. I love to see who's here with me, and I see Facebook users sometimes, so pardon my looking at my phone, but that helps me see you guys. If it will, oh, there we go. Okay. Carmen, good morning. See? All right. So I want to open this conversation with a very gentle approach because it's a depth of a conversation. Good morning, Darla. Good morning, everyone who are here. Who else is with us? Denise, you've made it this morning. Perfect. Okay. So receiving. How many of you are freely givers? Maybe possibly caregivers, have been so used to giving that you put yourself on the back burner. Now, to me, that feels like a normal thing until I learned differently. And it's not a bad thing. It's just that we get in habit, like we've been talking about all week, around how we embody beliefs about things. So when it comes to receiving and it comes to being open to receive and it comes to not stopping the flow of receiving by trying to control the outcome or be the giver, we get a different experience with ourselves. So today is just welcoming us into the activation of being where we are in this journey and knowing that you're never going to be done. You are never going to be done expanding. You are never going to be done receiving more love. You are never going to be done gaining a new perspective. They're endless. They're infinite. So if you're with me now, what has your journey of receiving been? Before we dive into wealth, I want to talk about receiving. Do you feel like it's much easier for you to give than receive? Have you learned an element of letting yourself receive more, receive compliments, step back, delegate maybe, ask for help? Where are you on your journey? Can you just pop that in the comments below? Then we'll dive in. I always like to give just a bit of time. And then as you're typing, I'd love to know, how did yesterday go? So we have 2 questions. Your journey in receiving, and how did yesterday go with taking action, even if it was the smallest thing, even if you didn't post it? It's hard to ask for help. Yeah, it has to be a conscious effort to accept from others. It's a journey, right? Like I honestly, until I was in my late 40s, I was like, what? I didn't know. And it didn't make me a bad person, but I was depleting myself. And it has an element of people pleasing with it. And so if I could just be all the things anybody wanted me to be the best wife, be the best mom, be the best girlfriend, be the best everything, then all would come back to me. Right? Such a good person, it would just come back to me. However, I didn't realize that without learning to receive, without denying that love, without denying the receiving of gifts, like where we brush it, oh, no, me, don't worry about me. I'm good. How about you? Right? We're not acknowledging ourselves. And I was really good at distracting from talking about me, from pointing the attention this way. It was so much easier to, let's talk about you, which is, in essence, a great aspect for being a coach, with a caveat in my belief, right? because we give a damn about someone else, because we know that we can hold space for that person, whether we have that language or not. And as you grow, you learn that language, but it's not without being a participant in it. And that permission to participate in everything that I was helping my clients with as well. When I said receive, love more, I get to be a participant too. And sometimes it's a sneaky way that our mind plays where we worry about everybody else and we think we'll put ourselves in there somewhere, but then day by day goes by and we just haven't. Let me move my microphone here. I'm starting to learn how to receive, but for the most part, it's still a challenge. So understand that learning to receive, and it's not just receiving and it's not just giving. There's an ebb and flow with it. And the more you give and the more you receive, the more you're able to give and receive, right? Versus having the scale weighed really high on one side and really low on the other. I'm learning to receive. It's hard, yeah. And what if it was easy? What if it just could be easy? So that's kind of the essence of the conversation today. Melinda says, yes, it's been easier to give than receive. However, over the past years, I've learned to receive with ease and joy. And it's not always about me receiving, it's about the person giving. Yes. And it's so hard when we're not like, I was really debated between having Zoom and then doing live, but I figured at 7 a.m., y'all just wanted to like show up as you were, and there was a greater chance of you showing up if it was live. So I would have a lot of things I wanted to ask about that, Melinda, and I know it's harder to type while we're talking, but I'm just going to look at the words that have been written and then just channel from there, if that's okay. So you're saying it's not always about me receiving, it's about the person giving. And it's really important for us in this process to understand that the expectation of people giving is the thing that will drive us into disappointment the fastest. Because I remember thinking, well, why doesn't everybody do this? If this is how I'm a friend, everybody's a friend this way. And then I would get disappointed time and time again because I didn't understand that everybody has their own rhythm and they don't do things the same way. It was a very eye-opening experience. So I realized that many of you have had a lot of personal development. And so you've been welcomed some way into this conversation. But the depth of it is what I get, I like the root, I like the depth. And I love how much I've learned in the simplicity of it every time I up level, every time I reach a new level, every time I jump out of the comfort zone, every time we do all the things we've been talking about this week, right? Every time we start over. And so it's really powerful to be discerning if we're expecting someone to give from us the same way we give. We're setting ourselves up from disappointment that way. And it's still really, it's really tricky in how we relate to others, right? It's that conversation of, I want someone else to change. I want them to do something different. I'm going to just set this up and see if they get the clue. But we're not really speaking our needs. We're not speaking what we want. We're thinking, and this is contextual, right? We're thinking they're just going to know us so well that they're going to feel what I'm wanting in my brain. And then I will just wait and see if they get it, like a game. Anybody else feel that way before? And then they don't get it, and you're like, what the heck? And then we wind ourselves up in a story again. But here nor there, it's just a learning process. And so, is that helping? Is that even on track with what you were saying, Melinda? Because I just want to be really sure that I understand those words, because honestly, it's always about receiving. It's about receiving more love and the depth to which your heart is open to allow that in. And I'm not talking physical love, although that is also a beautiful, passionate expression in this lifetime. And for me, it's been one of those places where I've learned how locked up I was. I thought it was good, but there was always more, right? So today's really a conversation about a relationship with more, and more in all aspects. But let's start in with wealth, because it seems to be the one that obviously we all want more money. We all want to have a different experience than we're currently having. We're all striving for more. And I want to talk about the unknown again when it comes to that flow energetically with wealth. Now, wealth is energetic, it's a feeling state. We can actually feel into our body what it could potentially feel like to feel wealth. And this is where I want to start today. Before we say anything else, what is your definition of wealth? So, can you type that in the chat below? What is your definition of wealth? How does wealth feel in your body right now at this time before our conversation today? And you can be honest. Wealth, I had a lot of judgment around wealth because of what I saw, what I made meaning to, what I didn't think was for me in this lifetime, what felt separate. When someone gives a compliment, I used to have a strange response, not allowing myself to receive. Yes. Yeah, that's how it started for me too. Just receiving, just like, shh, Michelle, don't say a thing. Like, don't negate it. Don't, oh no, right? That kind of thing. Just receive. And so it begins this beautiful journey with receiving. But receiving is also receiving help, receiving support, receiving love that when we look at our bank account, we can be so appreciative for where every dollar went instead of, oh my gosh, the debt, the debt, the debt. There's an energy to the receiving as well. So thank you for sharing all of that. As you're typing away, I can still feel you guys typing. What is your current perception of wealth? Maybe that's an easier way to say it. What is your perceived definition of wealth? Wealth has been tied up in fear for me. Yeah. Yeah, me too. It felt like something someone else got to experience in this lifetime, not me. And then we spend our life being fine, being okay with that, instead of understanding that it's also available, right? Thank you for sharing that. I'll give it just a few more minutes. Same here. Okay. Yeah. Denise, yeah. And you know what's really wild? I realized something was amiss. My new vocabulary. Something was amiss when in our business, my husband and I had for 20 years, we began to be successful. We went from fight or flight, struggling, struggling, struggling to holy crud, we did it. It started to flow. And then we had some money, and then we had some kids, and then we had a life. And I'm like, where do I want to go with this? And I remember feeling very awkward about having the success. And I almost didn't want it. Even though I enjoyed the adventure, it was easier to just deny that than have to deal with those feelings. Let's see, wealth is balance. Good. I've always had trouble with wealth, Margot, always struggling to the next paycheck. And now I'm learning to be open and let it flow naturally. Yeah. Wealth, to me, having wealth is having balance between life, health, and finances. Good. Yeah. So it's important to just know where you are with it, right? I had it and then felt uncomfortable with it and wouldn't tell anybody about it. And so I would like repel it. And it showed up for me in friendships. I wasn't fully me, I wasn't fully receiving. I would hide a little bit. And it's really funny, this journey in my life. My dad did well, but we weren't super wealthy, but we had a comfortable living. So I knew it was possible. So I had these two different stories going on. I knew it was possible, making the money. I wasn't afraid of making money, but not too much. Because then too much led into, you're being a show off, you're being this, you're being that, like all the things my parents might have said or my mother expressed in a way that I didn't approve of, whatever the judgment was. And so when it came to wealth, I had some stories to unwind. Just like we realize there's stories in how we love our body, how we love ourselves, how we love our relationship. I think the biggest wealth that we can receive in this lifetime is learning to broaden that definition and realize that no matter where we are, that definition could very well be an old definition that we've learned and repeated over time. And that's where I found myself. So for those of you who've been on that journey and you're learning, or you've realized where you struggle, just bring that in right now and accept it. Can you just be with that and see it? And even if it's tied up in fear, we're either in fear or love, in my opinion, anyway. The fears can be abandonment, can be um, loss, it could be all kinds of different edges of fear. But we really, if we aren't loving something, we're in fear of not having it, being separate from it. And wealth is one of those places we can feel so separate. And it shows up in our physical actions that we don't even realize. And this isn't the day that we're going to go through all those details. I am creating a month-long container called Prosperity Portal where we'll dive into some more of those things. I just want to bring in the conversation so we can activate a new energy around it today. Because when we look at wealth and our definition and our relationship to it, we can create more peace with what we once feared, with what we once denied, or what we once felt separate from. And again, all of these are a journey, right? You're going to meet yourself, you're going to do well, and then you're going to be like, oh, I want more. So to me, it's this conversation about relationship to more. Now, who do I have to be to go here? I got here, wasn't this, it was here. Can't believe I made it. Okay, but you're not limited there. You can have more. And even in that conversation, we can start to feel where like, oh, I don't need that much. Right? But I want you to look at a new perspective today. And you've probably heard this, but the more wealth that we can create for ourselves, the more wealth we can distribute within the planet. The more for, especially for women, the more wealth that we can represent and experience and share our experiences with, the more someone else can say, oh, there's hope for me too. And we put wealth in the hands of women and they know how to nurture. They know how to create more wealth. You've already created so much wealth in your life. So just for today, I want you to feel into, I can hear like your mind's going, no, I didn't. Do you know my bank account? Let's look at it from the perspective of not money. Money is another energetic component. It's a physical representation of our beliefs, which can be shifted. It's a physical representation of if we have a debt relationship with money or a loving, expansive relationship with money. We can love money and then be fearful of how much it costs to be doing these things, right? And so it's a duality, but we have to choose a side. You can't just operate with both. In this case, it's energy on one side or energy of the other. And subconsciously, that energy of fear will always be stronger until we choose otherwise, right? So let's talk about expanding your definition wherever it's at now. And let's use the body to help be the compass, right? What I loved about my original money, it was a program I did called Money Mojo with my mentor, and it really opened up all these depths, which is what I'm inspired to help everyone with in my containers. We go to the root so we can heal that and then move forward with new evidence, lenses, experiences, right? Wealth for me became an expansive definition because she had me define wealth without money being attached. So some of you have wealth as balance. Um, Wealth is having a balance between life, health, and finances. Beautiful. What else could wealth be when it's not related to money? My mind shows me this image of a pie of life. Have you guys ever seen the pie, right? You have all these little slices. One is in friendships, one is in network, one is in spirituality, one is in health, one is in all these things. And so wealth can be shown in relationships. Wealth can be shown in your well-being. To me, wealth and well-being aren't different. Friends, right? And in one area of your life, you're going to have this abundance, maybe two areas, maybe three. And as you start looking at that, there's a multitude of places where you have wealth. So pop in the comments below where you feel really wealthy in that area, that pie of life. Maybe it's in your career, maybe it's in your education, maybe it's in your family, maybe it's in your finances. And if you're happy with your finances, claim that too, because there's always more if you want it. And all of this conversation around wealth is not from someone else's definition. Doesn't matter what I think or you think, or someone else thinks. It matters what you think, what you believe, how you want to experience this world. I feel wealth in my marriage. Yes, abundance in of inner peace, family and self-love. And so I want you for just a moment, just for today, think back on this timeline of your life and notice all the abundance that you've created. Somewhere you decided, I'm going to have the most extraordinary love relationship. And you found that partner, and you're still in this growth relationship together after all these years through the highs and the lows. Some of you have extensive family, or you've built this external family of friends, and you're so wealthy with that. Some of you have an abundance of creativity around you. All of us have an abundance of wealth. I have an abundance of papers in front of me right now. Pens, papers, books, journals, bills. And so whenever we can open that reticular activation system to see more than what we've been used to seeing, we can immediately expand our experience with more synchronicity. And we can learn to love the misunderstanding so the story can be rewritten. So I'm going to encourage each and every one of you to take a look at that wealth story. And that's going to be our homework. Take a look at that wealth story and see where you can rewrite it even right now. You've been operating off of a story up until this point, and at this point, you get to expand it just a little more. What else does wealth mean to you? How does wealth feel in your body? And let's define it beyond money so we can begin to welcome home the money part into it, right? Are we choosing a relationship of debt, and we're seeing that play out through friendships, through relationships, through health, through wealth? Or are we seeing a relationship of abundance and being so grateful and appreciative of everything we've built? And I know deep down you're grateful. I'm not questioning your gratitude, but spending time in those emotions and welcoming in more of those sensations when we feel like, what does gratitude feel like on our heart? What does gratitude and abundance feel like in our body? Does it feel safe to call more in? Does it feel like the nervous system needs a minute? And can we find the place that we've created it and realize we've created it because we focused our intention on doing so? And as we spoke of earlier this week, as we notice these things and bring them into our awareness, we can see that we've already done this before. We have evidence. The story may be loud, it may be repeating on replay in the mind, but the evidence cannot be denied, and the truth is located in the body. The truth of the fear and the truth of the abundance when you let yourself see it. Now, remember, our brain is set for lack. It's set to keep us alive. It's set to, no matter what, it's gonna protect us. But it doesn't mean it's the only way. It's equally possible for it to vision something we haven't experienced yet and meet ourselves there until it comes into the reality. The problem is we toggle, right? And which story wins out every single time? Think about wealth. Is there a story of lack or scarcity coming through? I don't know if I can do it. I don't have enough in my bank account. I see people doing it so easily. What's wrong with me? Any of those stories play through? Nothing's wrong with you. You're not something to fix. You are not broken. You just haven't remembered who you are and that the power is within you to make these shifts. We've been so conditioned to have the world tell us who we are, have the world define for us our label, our social status. And we've succumbed to it because we've heard it over and over and over again. So we come to our conversation this week about choice. When we notice those things rising, are we going to choose to ignore that thought and just let it beat us down? Or are we going to choose to take a look at it and welcome it in and feel it, and then choose that perhaps there's an opportunity for a new definition, a new story to be created with decision and commitment and willingness. And I really believe the power of the mind and body. Like, if we decide and we are fully energetically embodied in that decision, life will change in an instant. I don't mean money's going to drop into your bank account. However, doesn't mean you can't receive a check out of the blue in your mailbox. How do you go to your mailbox every day? Oh my God, I can't wait to see what check is in there. This unknown check, this beautiful, mysterious thing that comes in. What shows up? How do you go to your mailbox every day? Truthfully, I'm going to go see what bills are there. Make sure I collect all those bills like it's an unexcited event, right? The energy of like, oh, today's a new day. Where's money going to come in? Money comes from known and unknown sources. And honestly, it comes from more unknown sources than known. But we can perpetuate our thoughts into only it comes this way. And we block ourselves from receiving more. And so, just in this conversation today, can you feel the expansiveness of possibility in ways that we can receive even more than we've experienced before we started? What's coming through for you guys? Melinda comes and goes with the feelings. It's such a great feeling when I make a commitment and follow through. It creates so much positive energy. So, yesterday you did that, Melinda. And if you feel like sharing, what else happened from the time that you finished your office? Did you notice any other synchronicities coming through? Any songs on the radio, any notes, any conversations, any texts that came through to reflect that feeling that you were feeling from completing what you said you were going to complete? And you actually went beyond. And so maybe you weren't aware of it at the time, but think back. What other things have unfolded since you were in that energetic expression? Yeah, so many times we can know these things in our head, but we haven't fully embodied them yet. We haven't felt them, mainly because we're taught to avoid the feelings. Feelings aren't safe. And so this embodiment work is really important. This emotional mastery skills are something you can learn once and use for a lifetime, and they'll never be the same. They'll always be expansive because you've opened your awareness to more. Magnetic Impact is a 12-week program that I offer where we journey together through this. We go through what's present for you and what transformation you want. And we begin where you are. And just like we've been going through this week, we meet ourselves in each of these layers of energies, but we provide tools for you to play and experience so you can find the one that works best for you and embody the change. So by the end of the 12 weeks, you are not the same person. You're looking ahead going, I can't believe how far I've come in such a short time. And like we've been saying, once we have the evidence we've done it before, we can do it again. So we pick a place. Usually one or two areas of our life on that pie is activated right now. And we focus how we want or where we want the transformation. And then we work forward in real time. Then we have 4 additional weeks to implement, to talk, to converse, to move things through the body that are in the way. It's really awesome. Perfect. Okay, so for today, all the notes have gone out the window, and then they haven't. We come back to looking with objectivity, like being an observer of the stories of the past that may be molding our expectations right now, based off what we knew, not what else is possible. And being okay and having grace and just loving and accepting ourselves anyway. Because we're either choosing a past story or we're creating a new one, right? We might toggle between, but energetically, the universe knows direct. It knows what you focus on most. It matches you in the energy and begins to reveal things in your experience. If you're toggling, it'll just go, okay, I'll wait. And then we feel like things don't work. We feel like we're not manifesting. But as humans, we're natural manifestors. We manifest on what we focus on most. The thoughts that produce the feelings, that produce the meanings, that produce the actions or reactions. And those repeated over time become beliefs that are embedded in the body. And so the body will always hold your truth. If you want something different, that's when we move outside of all that automation, right? All of the things we've told ourselves forever, and we start telling ourselves new stuff. And it takes a minute for the mind and the body to reacclimatize, to cultivate more of those new neural pathways. So this becomes your norm. You won't always be here if you choose to realize you're defaulting in those patterns. And so understanding our patterns is so important. The reason I speak about numerology in here so much is because numerology invites us to look at our patterns, not to be at the whim of them, not to be at, oh, I don't have these numbers, I don't have these things. No. The numerology itself, the cycle of transformation is available for all of us. But we come into this, I believe, we come into this lifetime with a certain karma to clear. And as we move through and clear them, we get the revelation of the lessons on the other side. You've already done that in life. You don't have to know your chart to be living your chart. But when you know your chart and you know your patterns, you can end the struggle because you'll always be at choice point. You'll be at an empowering choice available that you haven't seen, you haven't felt, you haven't understood that this is how you're operating or navigating through life. But when you do, now this becomes leverage. This doesn't become, oh, this is just what I do and I'm limited. No, this becomes, I'm doing that pattern and it reminds me I can choose again. Does that make sense? Melinda says, unfortunately, I had my best friend text me and I was upset because I haven't spoken with her in a few days after she'd been telling me she's doing mentally well. She mentioned that she was going to see her therapist. It really sucked to receive her message. I responded a few times and then told myself I cannot let this affect my energy in the moment. So maybe a representation of where you would then deny yourself these good feelings because life showed you there's something you should feel bad about. And you were letting that go. And so you came to the realization, this isn't mine, which is so powerful. And how that might have gone if you just didn't allow yourself to be in what you truly wanted and how you truly want to operate in the world. You can't see what's for you in those lessons unless you reach the other side of it. Your brain will try to pre-decide it for you, but it's different. It's a different experience. She knows she can call me anytime. I've been going through so much in my life, and apparently that doesn't matter, nor does she understand. And where's the expectation? Should she know? You're going through stuff. Have you asked her to have that conversation with you? Or are you expecting her, like we talked about earlier, just to osmosisly know? People get afraid when you're going through big things, and they can only give you what they can give you. Everybody has their own journey on their timeline. And she may not be where you are with your skills and your emotional mastery. She may not see it the same way. In fact, I guarantee you, you can have a car accident at the corner, 10 witnesses, and you're going to have 10 different versions of what happened in that story. Just like anything we experience when other people are involved, they can only receive to the ability to which they can receive the information, and they can only give to the ability to which they can give. And yet we'll hold the expectation and condition that they should be just like us, or as far as long as we are, or they should just know. And most people are so concerned about themselves that they don't see it. Doesn't mean she doesn't love you. Doesn't mean she doesn't care. And then there's the conversation of, can she meet you there? Or are you compromising? Deep conversation, but truthful. So let's take it into our wealth story. Where do we compromise ourselves from what we say that we want? Where can we expand and activate today new feelings of how it will feel when we have those things we want? We've been talking about this all week. What does it feel like when everything I've ever wanted is here? You're first going to say, I don't know, I haven't experienced that yet. And this is where I'm going to invite you to use your imagination. That beautiful thing we had as a child so easily, it's still available to us. If I waved a magic wand right now and you could have what you wanted in your relationship, in your wealth, in your money, in your friends, in your family, how would it feel? You're completely heard, seen, understood. How does it feel? Pop that in the chat. Ooh, that's powerful. So this whole year, if you add 2023, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 3, we get a 7. So it's been a very beautiful 7 year that's going to invite us all year long to see the truth of what we've been denying ourselves, to trust ourselves, to learn by doing, to take those leaps of faith. But it also can mean we can be easily distracted and we can find all the opportunities, and maybe this has been true for you, we're in December, right? To stay true to what you said that you'd do, how you said you would be, the things you wanted for yourself. And so we get to look back on those things as we go into the momentum of 2024, 2 plus 2, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 4, 8, an 8 energy year. Momentum, devotion, personal power, personal mastery. Life's going to be fast. Now's the time to build the foundation for what you want. So you don't crumble around it. You don't need to do that. You know that. You're extraordinary. You're powerful decision makers. You're powerful action takers. You're results driven. You get to understand you, so the fear starts to dissipate. We have fear when we don't understand ourselves, when we avoid ourselves, when we are compromising what we say that we want, or we're giving our power away. Blissful, good, more balance, more peace, and more freedom. And so what if we focus on, even in this situation, Melinda, with your friend, more balance, more peace, more freedom. And I love harmony. I don't think balance ever really exists unless you're literally weighing two sides of a scale. Harmony, and today's energy is a 6, so we're really calling in the harmony with those feelings. And when you feel those feelings and call those into your heart, and trust that what's being shown for you is rising up to be moved from trigger into synchronicity by choosing how you'd rather feel, you're going to start seeing matter change around you, calls, situations. Some will be immediate and blissful, and some will be those things that have been like sticky glue. And you get to choose how you navigate that. And my invitation is to feel more peace, more freedom, more bliss, more harmony before you act. Call that out, feel that going all the way through your body, like we did on Tuesday at the end of the call. You can go back and listen and call that in and send it out and just see what starts to shift, how more easeful it is for you, just as a test, right? I have down here, I understand that nothing can grow or evolve without movement. With change comes transformation, and with transformation comes evolution. All change nourishes the soul. We can't go through transformation and expect change to not happen. We're going to start seeing change as we change within, as within, so without. We're going to find it happening outside of us. So even though that happened, Melinda, you're calling yourself higher into completing more of what you want. So it could just be a beautiful reflection of what isn't yours to take on right now and where you used to give that all away. Just a boundary opportunity with so much love. Love her for where she's at. Love you for where you're at. You be the block, you be the brick, you be the foundation for what you're going through. You first, the world follows. Does that make sense? If we can point ourselves, when we learn to point ourselves to the frequency of what we want to experience, these things you've written here, harmony, peace, blissful, those are all frequencies. They have their own feeling state. So does anger, frustration, irritation, anxiety. We know those real well. We're not always as versed in how it feels in our body to be blissful, to be free, to feel peace, to feel harmony. Until this week, we've been learning, right? So how would peace in your wealth story feel for you? The same way? How would peace in your well-being feel for you? Can you see that your well-being and your belief around well-being can contribute to your belief in wealth? It's like the body and wealth and all those things aren't separate. When you're feeling separate from wealth, Why do you think that is? And when you figure out the why, can you see that it might be part of a past story that you can now rewrite today? And so let's focus on rewriting the story for the next few minutes. Point yourself to that frequency that you've so beautifully stated in the comments. Let all timeline expectations go. Those are our downfall. When it didn't happen in X amount of time, then we decide it didn't work, and round we go. It's a journey. It's unfolding. It's really not the destination of, hey, I have $100,000. It's the journey of who you become as you claim that you want it. It's a reclaiming. It's a deciding. It's a commitment. It's a leap, and it's learning who you are in that next leap, in that next receiving, in that next abundance, in that next level of that dream of you that you see. It's the relationship to the unknown. It's journeying to make peace with the unknown so we can invite more of the unknown in. I guarantee you the best things that have ever happened to you in life, those ones where you're like, oh my God, it worked out better than I could have ever thought of, is when on a subconscious level you've surrendered and you just let yourself be matched with the universal energy that can meet you there. And it turns out better than anything you could have ever imagined. It turns out better than anything you could have preconceived. The mind cannot possibly create the expansiveness of what the universe can help you with. When you meet yourself in your soul driven purpose, in your soul self, I feel like we're all just coming back home to remembering who we are. We've been cloudy and asleep for a while. We're just awakening at new levels over and over and over again. I know I had an awakening when we lost all of our money, we let go of the business and we started over. What I didn't realize is that we'll continue to awaken to new levels in our ascension. And we can resist that. We're trying to make sense of it. We're trying to define it. We're trying to only experience it through this beautiful practical world. And we're a mix of practical and mystical. And if you're here now, this is what I have realized is my superpower in teaching. You got to be here in the body, and you can allow yourself to meet yourself in that mystical higher place, higher self, godlike self. It doesn't mean we're God, it just means we're made of the same energy of all creation. However, you see that God, universe, source, we'll just use source energy, life force energy as a general. We are that. And when we don't feel whole, our mind works really hard on creating reasons for separation. And I feel like our journey here on this planet is to unify these experiences so we can have the most extraordinary physical experiences while the soul is here in this body. It wants to feel. When we're a soul, we don't feel. We're highly enlightened. We know the things we've been struggling with and how easy it could have been for us. But that's not the point here. The point here is to clear the karma, to know the karma, to clear the karma, to be in your dharma, your purposeful expression, and to know yourself, know who you are, what you want, and why you want it, and allow yourself to have it. Today's energy is setting that foundation for not only clear communication, but a foundation in being more of you, expressing yourself unapologetically, allowing yourself to become the version of who you believe you can be, and realizing, taking responsibility and accepting where you've been on your journey so you can step wholeheartedly into her, him, if we have some gentlemen watching. What are the steps that need to happen for you to become that version? The version who stands up and makes that money that you decide, the one who starts the business, the one who writes the book, the one who is uh, the harmonizer of the family without giving away your power, compromising yourself, the one that examples what else is possible in this lifetime. The harmony is yours within. The love of yourself is the fuel. When we think of Where we're lacking, we are denying ourselves the love that is available for us, as us, through us. And that's the journey of realizing all those little layers, all those little places where we have consciously and unconsciously got into pattern of denying ourselves the expansive experience of more. How does this feel for you? More is possible because you decide your definition of more. You don't compare to others. You decide what more is for you. And then when you meet that definition, there'll always be another definition. Now what? What's next? You empty nesters out there, what's next? What's your dream? Pop your dream in the comments. If you're not an empty nester and you've gone through a huge life transition or gotten through and maybe lost yourself for a while, what's next? What do you want? Do you want help knowing what you want? Do you want help uncovering who you could be? Do you want help knowing the person who knows she's enough, who's in her power, who can decide that she can make a decision, a powerful decision, and keep making more powerful decisions? She can trust herself. You're already her, but there's more for you to discover in this life. More than the mundane, more than the same in and out. You're feeling the pull. I know you are, you wouldn't be here. So what is it? What's next for you? Pop that in the comments below. Giving you time to type. And I'm going to read something to you. One of the cards that I pulled was this call for, I just feel like the conversation is this call for courage, for patience, for curiosity, for trust, right? Letting go of I don't know, because that's the mind's way of protecting. It's the mind's shutdown mechanism. If it doesn't know, it doesn't have to answer. It doesn't have to think further. It doesn't have to go outside the comfort zone. I used to use that all the time. It's like my key codes now for, oh, what do I know, right? What am I willing to do? Like we talked about yesterday. So giving yourself your power away from others' experiences, others' opinions, others' solutions is where we'll find our innermost truth. You need help knowing what's next. Yeah, I'm here. I'm here for that. We'll journey together. We'll walk together, right? Melinda, great call. I want to take charge of my life and to not be dependent financially on my spouse. Now is the time. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's possible. It's a dream, right? How would that feel to be able to gift that, to be that woman? I know that well. I know that feeling. Okay, the card that I pulled was called The Unknown, and it's from the Soulful Women guidebook. I got this deck in Sedona. Oops, sorry, backwards. I'm going to put this close. If you want to take a picture, you can come back to the screenshot. I cannot pronounce the names, but they're beautiful. Okay. So when I find myself at a crossroads where something old has come to an end and the new is yet to be formed, I'm gentle and patient with myself. As I release the old, I trust that the universe is creating the space for the new to enter my life. It's its own perfect timing. I keep my heart open and embrace the mystery, knowing I can't hurry the process. Sometimes, when I don't know when, don't know how, don't quite know what or with whom, something magical happens. I open myself to the alchemy of my soul's growth. I enter a change portal in my soul's journey that calls me to bow to a design and intelligence infinitely greater than my own. Living in this place of don't know calls for courage, patience, curiosity, and trust. I reach out for support from those that love me. I open my heart to the loving guidance of the divine. I bow to the infinite intelligence of the cosmos, and my next steps are revealed. And so the magic is in that unknown, the abundance, the wealth, the magnetism It's all in the unknown, and you haven't discovered it yet, or you'd know how to do it. And when we can have so much more grace with we don't know what we don't know until we know differently, we get to start to explore differently and begin creating in our life. Today's activation has been all around creating, redefining. We've known where we've been, we've had the awareness, the acceptance, and we've taken responsibility by getting into action yesterday, or even thinking that's possible for me. Today, we activate something more. Tomorrow, we'll land into peace with accountability and we'll continue the conversation. And I'll post below the prompt. What's your new definition of wealth? How do you want to feel as you experience that definition? And let that guide you towards having a greater depth of look at what is your debt story? What wants to heal? Has your actual story healed and you're just looking now to create something more? We can get really stuck in this healing loop. It's not to say we're never going to heal. We're human. We're going to always have something to heal, but we don't have to go back to keep healing. We just must decide what we want to create moving forward. Everything else will rise in its place. Having someone to support and navigate you through that is priceless because you'll move faster. And when that spinning comes back in, that mind's like, I made this automated. You said you wanted this. You get to explore what it's like to move through it without succumbing to it. All right, you guys, I look forward to hearing what else is arising for you here, what else activated for you in this call. Keep typing below. I'll come back through the comments and we'll continue the conversation tomorrow. Thank you so much. I look forward to hearing all of the beautiful deliciousness. Okay, bye for now.